Elon Musk has a lot to smile about these days. One reason, of course, is Tesla, coming off a 12% gain for a second consecutive week. Stock's now up 27% for the month and 75% since the election. Jim, today Wedbush goes from 400 to 515. Dan Ives, bull case 650.
Well, look, I think that this story during this period is actually not as much Trump and Musk as I think, as many people think. As much more that this is now a tech company and it happens to coincide with this period. You know, David, look, a lot of people just say, hey, that's great, they're going to be together. But it's not as if Tesla's going to necessarily be favored. As a matter of fact, there's a story today that we know where on crashes where Tesla would be the loser. So I think
you have to explain what you mean. On crashes, they'd be the loser. What does that mean?
No, there's just a conflict about there's a decision that Trump may make about scrapping car crash report.
But they'd be a beneficiary.
Yes.
Of that.
Well,
they'd be the beneficiary.
But the other story is out of Reuters looking at removing support for EVs and chargers.
Right. That would be bad. Right. But if you remove it for everybody, it's good. I'm just saying it's not, the news flow is not why people are buying.
Really? You don't think that people are not buying Tesla stock because they...
No, I'm saying the actual news flow about Tesla means nothing. The news flow about Musk being friendly with Trump is everything.
Well, not friendly. I mean, having a great influence.
But I'm saying that you better hope that some of that is the giant... The giant nvidia plant in Memphis, the giant plant of...
Well, it's not an nvidia plant. But it's an XAI. It's XAI.
But I'm just saying that you can't get this valuation from cars, is what I'm saying.
There's no doubt about that.
You can't. But I'm saying
I think
a lot of it has to be tech.
Elon would say the same thing.
By the way, if you chart the stock price versus forward earnings estimates, they are completely diverging.
Right.
The earnings estimates are not moving.
It's got to be about full self-driving, and they're reaching that.
See,
and, that's what Ives mentions. It's kind of not a lot in that.
Yeah, but the full self-driving right now, if you talk to Waymo, these guys have nothing. But if you say, wait a second,
that's
the president
not really
is going to be...
They do have a lot, and they're making great advances, Jim, actually.
Well, I know. I'm saying if you talk to Waymo. You've talked to Waymo. I talked to Waymo.
I understand that. That they're the competitor. My point is that when you talk to people who at least have an understanding of the advances Tesla's making in its full self-driving, particularly as it applies AI to it, large language models, they are significant jumps being made that have not been previously made. So you're talking 10x instead of 10%.
Okay, but I mean, you need to have the federal highway system. You need to have Trump say, you know what, you can be full self-driving on the highway system.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen, but they will benefit from the accident stuff not having to report it. They'll benefit from the credit going away for their competitors because they don't need it as much. And I mean, Carl, his net worth is up $76 billion, Elon, since the election.
How much did he give away?
By the way, I mean, he's discovered politics and what money can do in politics, and I think he's like, that's not a bad return. $200 million for $76 billion, I'll take it.
This is the oligarch nation. I keep hearing that from rich people. Look, Jim, it's the oligarch nation. I was thinking about developing an oligarch network. All I would do is talk about the oligarchs.
I think it was Sanders on Meet the Press over the weekend. Never before in American history have so few people had so much money and so much power.
What can I say?
It seems to be a fair statement.
The Sun King. Remember the Sun King in France? Kind of like that.
Vaguely, yes.
Sun King. It's our era. Not the Gilded Age. These guys never had. Those guys didn't have the money. Jay Gould? He's a pauper.
Jay Gould was
he's a pauper.
Just an operator. He was a
Commodore Vanderbilt? Well, none of these guys, right?
Vanderbilt had some real cash.
What can I say?
Nobody's matching Elon Musk
Diamond Jim
for
Brady?
money and or influence.
How about Diamond Jim Brady? Nothing.
Can't speak to him.
I'm just saying that it's more about Tesla, the ethos, than just Tesla, the car. Dan Ives is about technology.
By the way, Dan's target doesn't even value optimists at anything.
He's been dead right.
And I continue to think the biggest winner in all of this, at the top of the mountain, is Musk and Tesla. They continue to be the biggest winner. It was a bet for the ages in terms of Musk betting on Trump.
All right, let's talk Tesla. We saved that for last. Your price target is 515. Is that right?
515, and again, that's conservative. Our bull case 650. I believe we're sitting here a year from now. It's a $2 trillion market cap, and even though we've talked about on the show since Trump, that was obviously not just that was a lotto ticket for Musk, right? In terms of when it came to what that bet's going to be for autonomous.
You mean like the spend of like $275 million or whatever the number ends up being is what Musk spent or contributed as part of the whole campaign. That's what you're talking about. The unbelievable return on investment. I mean, one of the greatest, I don't know, you want to call it a trade? One of the greatest trades in the history of the universe.
A poker move for the ages in terms of ultimately what you saw play out, because now the autonomous vision, it's going to play out. And when you look at NHTSA, when they're going to do a sweep the leg situation relative to the Beltways, this all plays out. And that's why autonomous alone we think is worth $1 trillion. And I think right now, okay, deliveries, and you go through every quarter, that's 10% of the story. You look now at robotics, autonomous, what I view as the core AI play. That's why I think 515 would be conservative, 650 is the bull case. And as this plays out, the biggest winner from all this, at the top of that mountain, that Mount Rushmore, is Musk.
Do car sales even matter?
I think car sales, at this point, it's called 10% relevant. The reason I say that, the whole story now, it's about 7 million vehicles out there. Well, will be 10 million vehicles next 18 months. What does FSD penetration look like? And then ultimately, cybercab, autonomous, as that all plays out. And eventually Detroit, that 313 area code, they're going to be calling Musk when it comes to OEM and that technology when it comes to FSD.
I know, but what about what was already falling demand for EVs everywhere?
I think some of
no impact on that?
Look, I think in China, and I think even this quarter, we're seeing growth, and I think it's kind of come out from the abyss. We're seeing a stabilization. The price cuts that were onerous have started to, I think, stabilize.
You think that's done?
I think 99% of that's done. Gross margins have now stabilized, and that's why if you're a bull, you're sleeping very, very well at night for Tesla, because now that's all stabilized. You're going to have 15, 20% delivery growth next year, and now the gold at the end of the rainbow, it's autonomous.
Let me ask you this. Had Trump lost and Musk made this huge bet, how much different would the story be in your mind for let's just take Tesla?
It would be dramatically different. I mean, that would be, it would be a much different story, because a big part of the valuation of this Tesla story is autonomous. And given the 202 area code in Musk, we're never going to be doing any candlelight dinners, that was a huge overhang on the stock. Now the autonomous vision, the Optimus vision starts to play out, because now that Musk-Trump alliance is going to actually, I think, strengthen over the coming years, which is very bullish for Tesla. And I think investors are now starting to recognize.
And hurt Uber, Waymo? I mean, how do you think
it hurts. The 313 area code, GM, Ford, the big three, they're going to have to peel back a lot of that EV.
Well, I mean, threats of tariffs have hurt those stocks.
As well as also the EV tax credits when those get pulled in January in terms of their overall EV strategy, because Musk and Tesla are a winner. Ultimately, Detroit's a loser when it comes to those EV tax credits getting pulled. Uber's going to be a net loser relative to what we view as the full autonomous vision playing out, and that's why that stock continue to have overhang, even though we like it long term. But right now, Tesla table pounder, tech table pounder, and even we believe we sit here, it's still just year 3 of what we see as a 5 to 6 year tech bull market.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Dan Ives, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here.
Cold stocks have such a loyal shareholder base, they can trade independently of the business for years and years. The most obvious example, Tesla. This rally since the election is one for the ages. It's a move that, in retrospect, everyone should have seen coming, right? I mean, why not? Elon Musk has been all in with the winner of the presidential election. The electric cars are doing much better than everyone else's. Full self-driving could be around the corner. But now let's look at what might have kept you out of the stock. If you go back in time to when we found out that Elon was a big-time Trump supporter, the media was filled with, how long will that last chatter? The president-elect is famously mercurial, while Elon Musk is obviously brilliant but equally arbitrary and capricious. The idea that these two could bond in any way before they clash seemed inevitable. Plus, electric vehicle sales, they were sinking everywhere. We saw adoption slow for all EVs, including Tesla, in the United States. The competition in China, it became cutthroat. Musk Tesla is a relatively high-cost producer. Numbers, the estimates, they kept going lower. Plus was this lawsuit about him getting his bonus where it wasn't clear that he'd stick around as CEO if he lost. Too easy to pivot to some other part of his empire. Now, of course, the reality turned out to be quite different. But it was easily missed by the numbers guys on Wall Street. First, the public is back into the stock market, bigger than ever. The public doesn't listen to Wall Street research. Many don't even know what it is. Others think it's worthless. The public knew one key thing that the analysts didn't. Musk was incredibly close to Trump, spent hundreds of millions to help them win. So as long as Trump won, Tesla was going to be a huge winner. You had to be on board. You had to believe. It was like a sports team. As it is, it turns out Tesla has more driving on self-data than Google-backed competitor Waymo. Data that Trump will buy into, maybe, and crown Tesla the full self-driving winner versus the piecemeal city by city approach of Waymo. Maybe it gives them the whole interstate highway system. I don't know. It also helped that GM dropped out of the self-driving taxi business, making Musk view more of reality. Tesla's much more than just a vehicle company. It's a tech company on wheels. Of course, Tesla's up 86% for the year, with nearly all of that coming after the election, when we realized that not only is Musk tight with President-elect Trump, he's helping reform the government to Trump's liking, doing a lot of this, or he plans to. Once you get a CEO with that kind of political influence, it's easy for the faithful to imagine the unlimited possibilities, which means they're no longer constrained by the price-to-earnings multiple. They'll pay anything for Tesla, much higher than these prices. They're actually insensitive to price. Oh, and did I mention that brokerage firm Mizuho just upgraded the stock from hold to buy off of an improving outlook under the Trump administration a few minutes after the market closed?
Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.